Welcome back to another episode of the On Deck Circle podcast, brought to you by the Fantasy Six Pack. It's me, Nick. I'm back again for another week. Today we might have Dave. We might not have Dave. He might be late. Who knows? So I'm going to just have an extra nice long talk session with my guy, Jason. Jason, come on in.
Nick, how you doing?
Good. I think it was a couple weeks ago. Dave said I turned into a hipster, and I think that I think today
you are full on hipster today.
Yeah, it's the winter knit hat that's not doing anything because it's not actually covering my ears. It's the like gross mustache. It's the IPA. It's the just everything.
Oh, nice to see you got the IPA. I know normally you're a stout guy, so
yeah.
I like this.
I also have my trio,
and I also feel like the hat that says juice might be a little bit of like a hipster move too.
So it's actually Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
For the Celtics. He's my favorite player. I was there the night he got drafted. It was a great time. But he has his own clothing company, and it's called Juice. So he has a pop-up shop down in the Seaport. Seaport's a little bougie area around my neighborhood. So I went there and spent $35 on a fucking knit cap that's not keeping my
ears warm.
Currently because I've caved and I put the heat on.
I feel like the next step would be the mustache is going to get longer and longer and turns like almost like a handlebar.
Yeah.
And then you'll be having some flannel on. I think next week will be.
I just took my Birkenstocks off. No, I mean I do have Birkenstocks, but it's winter.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really all I got for at least my own look. I do have a question about you though. What does your hat say?
It says Jolly Pumpkin Artisan Ales.
Oh,
it is a brewery. Yes, it's a brewery that's out of Michigan. There's two locations. One in Traverse City, which I attend. I frequent every year, Traverse City, and there's also one in Ann Arbor. So, nice. And there's actually a new one that just opened in Grand Rapids, I believe. So, yeah, one of my favorite breweries. Picked up this hat when I was there this fall. Nice. It's great.
A brewery just opened. I don't know if I've said this. Just opened probably like a 3-minute walk away from my apartment, and it's like
that's dangerous.
It is because they also sell pizza, and it's just like pizza, wings, and beer, and I'm like sold. But they don't have a TV package. They have no television package, so they only get the local game, and there's no outdoor heaters because they didn't get a permit.
Oh,
so they kind of fucked up.
Might be a couple months before they get popular.
Yeah, but I've been enjoying it. I just take the pizza home, so that works for me, and the beer's good. So all good on my end. Quick question: with the holidays coming up, what do your kids want? Is there like a thing? Nintendo games. Okay. Yeah. How old are they?
I have a 8-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Okay. Yep. The 8, just like Mario and shit. Is that?
Yeah, Mario's pretty popular on Nintendo, and some Fortnite V-Bucks. I think they want some stuff like that, and Roblox. Yeah, they play that a lot too on their iPads. So I don't know what it is, but they like that stuff.
Yeah, it's like a game with a bunch of games in it. Is what?
Yeah, they like mimic other games.
Yes, yeah, they're like cheap. They're Diet Coke versions of like every other game.
Yeah. Well, we do have DFS Daddy in the house. Let's see if we got a question for him.
Hey, Dave.
My internet here sucks, so I don't know if you can even hear me.
Yeah,
you're coming through good right now.
Okay, brilliant. Well, the video probably does. The video suck, or can you see me?
The video actually looks phenomenal.
Yeah, looks good.
Is it? Okay, well, it's super choppy on my end, so I'm glad that you can see it.
So we'll bear with you.
So what's your question? Sorry I'm late.
You weren't late.
Hotel Wi-Fi sucks.
Yeah.
That's facts.
All right, this is going to be an easy one for you, Dave. Who do you want the Lions to pick with the first pick in the draft?
Oh, that's not easy, man.
It's the Michigan kid. You need to pick the Michigan guy.
I mean, I want them to take someone who's not going to be draft eligible.
Okay.
I want them to take Bryce Young.
Okay. You want them to have a Devy pick in the.
I don't think he's going to be draft eligible, but I guess there's a chance. Or he might just say, well, I don't want to go to the Lions, so I'm not even going to bother. I'll just wait till next year. And then joke's on him because he might come to the Lions anyways.
He might come.
There's a good chance to get the number 1 pick next year, too.
Yeah. And the year after that.
Hey, they got to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't make me happy.
Yes, yeah. All right, Jace, let's kick it off.
All right, guys.
Actual news.
We actually are going to skip the perfect draft this episode. We're actually going to get right into the baseball talk, believe it or not. Even though there's a lockout, fantasy baseball, there's no lockouts in fantasy baseball. So we're going to continue doing some free agent signing recaps and our thoughts on where the re-signings are and what we think of the new place for the old face. So first off, we're going to kick it off with Marcus Semien of the Texas Rangers. The Rangers making another huge free agent signing, yet another middle infielder. I know we talked last week about Corey Seager. This time we got Marcus Semien. So what do you guys think? Who wants to kick it off on the Marcus Semien signing?
Well, I think that the Marcus Semien signing is actually great for his value. First of all, he stays in the AL. So for pitchers, I prefer him in the NL. For hitters, I prefer him in the AL. Just, one more bat in that lineup. So a little bit greater chance to get some counting stats. But more than anything, I would say, he's going to maintain, I would assume, that second base eligibility. And I think that is a huge, huge thing. I actually made a trade in a different 30-team league because I have Semien currently. He was my utility spot, but I felt comfortable enough that he's going to maintain that second base eligibility that I traded out Tuve to get some pitching. So knowing I could slide Semien over.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to get him in 30 Rock like the past few, I'd say probably a week or so. I'm getting a little gun shy. I've been making more moves just to be more competitive this year, and I think it's working. So far, so good at least. But Semien's somebody that he's a guy that I didn't realize was good until probably till this past year. He was always fine. He put up good numbers for the A's. And then once he kind of left the A's, I think just because I saw him more because he was in the AL East this past year, and I was like, oh shit, he's he can ball. He's not old, but he's not young. He's in towards the end of his prime, I'd say. So you probably get this contract's going to be god awful in 4 years. Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think the Rangers are going to be any good. Usually the ones that spend the most money don't really do that well unless you're the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Dodgers.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the reasons why you saw him, kind of maybe this year is just, being good is he actually had career highs in 2021 in both home runs with 45, career high in RBIs with 102, career high in slugging with 538. And he also had 115 runs during his year in Toronto. I think he's really kind of just catapulted himself into the top tier of middle infielders, especially if he can keep that second base, shortstop eligibility. Who else is really putting up those kind of numbers? 45 home runs. I'm not saying he's going to hit that every year, but the power is for real. The RBIs and the slugging, that's all for real. So I think, like Dave said, his dynasty value right now it's basically at an all-time high. Staying in the AL, you can get that DH possibly too. I don't know what Texas has got going on forward, but yeah, I mean, wheels up on Marcus Semien for sure. We even saw him increase his launch angle, which I think is what attributed to those 45 home runs. So I'd definitely be all in on Semien, at least for the next couple of seasons, like you said. I know last week we spoke about a ton of hitters, so there's going to be a big slew of pitchers this week because
Oh boy,
there was also a big slew of pitchers being signed. I think more so than hitters in the first couple
is this
weeks
Michael
of free
Walker?
agency.
Because that's a huge
Do you want to talk James Paxton or what? But no, for real, we're going to talk about Kevin Gausman this time. He goes over to the Blue Jays, gets 5 years, 110 mil, which is actually around 22 AAV. The Blue Jays, they just lost Robbie Ray to another team, so they definitely had a need for some more starting pitcher. But what do you guys think about Kevin Gausman going to Toronto?
This is another instance where I realized someone is good very late, but he got that. I think the Giants are going to be the team that pitchers go to get like a facelift.
Mm-hmm.
They just seem to know what they're doing, at least in that regard. So that's been great. Like, to have a sub-3 ERA in that division is ridiculous to me. Obviously, it's going to happen, but like you wouldn't peg Kevin Gausman to be that guy. He's fine, but he's showed that he can be like a high-end 2, low-end 1, like very low-end 1, but pretty high-end 2 for any fantasy team in general.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think one of the reasons why you saw him, becoming, on the spotlight here is just having the great 2021. He had a sub-3 ERA, 227 strikeouts, a CSW of 31%. However, he is going from the NL West into the AL East.
Yes.
Somewhere it's kind of he's familiar with, as he did spend 5 seasons with Baltimore, so it's not like he's foreign to the AL East. But however, when he was with Baltimore, he never had an ERA lower than 3.5, and he even had several seasons with an ERA over 4. I've never been a big Gausman guy. I think maybe pitching in that pitcher-friendly park of San Francisco may have helped out some of those numbers in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
To me, Gausman's not. I've never been big on Gausman. I don't think he's anyone you can rely on. I think this almost negatively affects his dynasty value going forward. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I agree with Jason. I think he hit the main points there. The last division that you want one of your pitchers to be in is the American League East. If you're going to have a pitcher in the American League East, at least for now, hopefully he's on the Yankees, Red Sox, or Blue Jays because those offenses are all, pretty good.
Yeah.
For dynasty purposes specifically, I think that, it definitely hurts Gausman's value. If he wasn't already a sell high, in my eyes, he definitely is now. I don't know that he's the pitcher that, we just saw last season. And I think that, him going into that Blue Jays rotation makes it even less likely. So if I was a Gausman owner, I would be looking to try to cash in or hopefully cash in on some perceived value there that I don't personally agree with.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably try and get something from now before the season, starts and it starts getting shelled in the AL East. Sell them now while you still can, I guess.
Yeah, that would be my thoughts.
All right, let's get into another pitcher here yet again, and this one, familiar team here, the Rangers. Jon Gray goes to the Texas Rangers, gets 4 years, 56 mil, with an AAV of 14 mil. Yet again, another big splash for the Rangers. They just like this. I think I saw some crazy stat. I don't know what it was, but it was almost like $600 million spent on those 3 guys in that 1 day of or 1 week of free agent signings that they did between Semien, Jon Gray, and Corey Seager. Obviously, the hitters more so than the pitcher. But what are you guys' thoughts on this?
I think that for Gray, it probably is just a net even. I mean, getting out of Coors is obviously huge. Moving to the moving to the AL, is a slight downgrade. So I guess actually maybe it's a slight positive for him. I mean, I think he's kind of been an underrated pitcher to some extent. His numbers are a little bit better than you would expect, and that's playing in Colorado. So maybe getting out of there, and maybe just a simple change of scenery could also make a huge difference. I've always kind of thought Jon Gray was a little bit better than what his numbers were. And then, like I said, I think if you take a deeper dive into his numbers, you would find that they're better than you would expect. So I wouldn't go crazy, but I would say slight uptick for Jon Gray's value with the potential to be, a pretty big plus.
Question, Dave. I know this is something you don't love. I'm going to put you on the spot. Right now, someone offers you Tyler Glasnow for Jon Gray. Do you say yes or no?
So here's what I would do. I would take Tyler Glasnow, and then I would turn around and flip Glasnow for something else.
Okay.
So yes, value-wise, Glasnow holds more actual dynasty value. So
assuming he's out for the year, but yes.
I mean, whatever, yeah. But I wouldn't want to keep Glasnow, so yes. I would turn around and just sell him.
Flip him later.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't turn a deal down that I thought was good value in the next person's eyes.
Yeah, okay. I would also do the same. I'm not a Jon Gray guy in general. I don't like the whole cores thing. I don't like, obviously it rings true in some cases, but I fell victim to this. I thought Tyler Chatwood was going to be unbelievable for the Cubs. And I own Tyler Chatwood everywhere. Jon Gray is better than Tyler Chatwood. And I get it.
Yeah.
But it's just sometimes a pitcher's just fine, and he's fine. And the contract wasn't terrible. 14 mil, that's not obviously it's more than we'll ever have. But it's something that it's a fine. He's not going to be their ace. He's going to be just a contributor to their team, and he's going to be a contributor to your fantasy team too.
Yeah, I mean, like Dave said, I think this one's kind of one of those interesting signings, so we don't know really what to expect because he actually, ironically, has better home road splits. But I think even just getting out of Coors is going to obviously make him a better pitcher. And like you said, he's always been one of those underrated guys. He's been decent strikeout pitcher. He averages about a K per 9 for his career. He's actually someone I'm kind of interested to see what happens going to Texas. I know that new stadium, everyone's thinking there might be another launching pad, but it's actually kind of turned out to be more of a pitcher's park. Right. I'm kind of interested to see this could be one of those guys that he's sitting at the end of someone's bench or at the pitching staff now because they've just been sitting on him as a Coors pitcher. You might be able to grab something for him kind of cheap, and it could end up being paying good dividends for you. So I'm interested to see what 2022 holds for Jon Gray. I'd like to see what he can do outside of Coors on a full-time basis.
Yeah, I mean, if we had to give each one of these either a buy, a sell, or a hold, I think that I would lean towards a buy on Jon Gray, but could argue, for a sell as well. But I think I'd give a slight nod to a buy. I don't know how much I would trust him to see what I would need to give up, but I would definitely not mind, reaching out to that owner potentially and just seeing where his thoughts are. My guess is that you're not going to be able to get him for the price that you would want because I think just the common thought is going to be, well, he's out of Coors, so he should instantly be better.
Agree.
That's what I'm guessing that the owner of him would think. So you probably wouldn't actually be able to get him as a buy low, but it never hurts to find out, I guess,
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It could be more of a hold, but definitely worth shooting out something like low ball offer and see what that owner values him as.
Sure.
There's no better time to trade somebody than after they sign a new deal, especially in a lockout, because people are just in the off season. People are itching at it.
Yeah. Especially if you get a Rangers fan or something lurking around.
Yeah, exactly.
Take advantage.
Yeah. This one's another pitcher we're going to talk about, but this one is on the relief end. We're going to talk about Raisel Iglesias, who actually returns to the Los Angeles Angels for 4 years, $58 million. So an AAV of right around $14.5 million. He's obviously been one of the game's top closers this last couple seasons. What are your thoughts on him? Obviously staying in LA.
I'm a bad guy to really talk about this because I'm not really a hold saves guy in general. Just not my something I really like target. But he's one of the best, so I guess the only thing that sucks is the Angels suck. They're very not smart. And
one of these years.
You can't get a save if your pitchers aren't good, and he's not going to have that many save situations. But maybe they'll surprise us this time. I don't know. They'll keep drafting pitchers, and then they'll hope a couple pan out. But that's where the money needs to start going.
I mean, I don't mind Iglesias. Obviously there, would theoretically be better landing spots for him, but all things considered, the Angels should be better next year. We obviously should have more games out of Mike Trout. Theoretically, Joe Adell, should take a step forward.
Hopefully,
that team should be a little bit better. He's going to have, he should have solid ratios. The reality is it's not like the Angels should not be one of the, worst teams in the league. So, when he does get save opportunities, he should convert them. So if anything, I think Iglesias' value is up slightly, if only because, they get Trout back. And like I said, you've got the chance of Adele taking, the next step. So I would say slight upgrade for him going into this year.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his stats, I mean, not including 2020, he's had 3 straight seasons of 30-plus saves. That dates back to his time with Cincinnati. And he even just missed the 4th season in 2017 when he had 28 saves. He's proven that going from the NL to the AL, it's not going to affect him too much. He ranks in the top 10% of almost every important StatCast category if you look at his Baseball Savant. Including the top 2% in xERA, K percentage, whiff percentage, chase rate. Again, like you said, I think, staying in LA, theoretically, he should get a little bit of an uptick because I think even in a bad LA team, he saved 32 or 34 games this year. So, I mean, could even see a little bit of an uptick there in LA. So hopefully with, good health for LA and maybe some, more save opportunities coming for him. So I think it's a little bit of an uptick for him as well. I agree with Dave.
Yeah, and I mean, there's not anyone really chomping at the bit there to take a spot either. So, barring an absolute epic collapse, he should get every save opportunity, for that team, assuming he's healthy.
And yeah, just to answer Joe's question, we do say that every year about the Angels, but at some point it's going to give. Get another year of Ohtani. Again, maybe Adele takes a step forward. So, and hey, they might not be done spending yet either. So we'll see.
Yeah, who knows?
All right, let's take a break from all this pitcher talk and get back to some hitters, everyone's favorite topic. This one a little bit more, not too flashy, but it still holds some dynasty value. So we're going to talk about Avisail Garcia goes to the Miami Marlins. Going to go ahead and get 4 years, $53 million. Gets an AAV of 13.25 million per year. I honestly, for the contract wise and the player itself, I think this is a bit of a good deal for Miami. But what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, to be fair, from a dynasty perspective, I don't care if they sign him for $100 or $300 million. But it would just tend to reason that he's going to see a decrease in value because he's going from a much better offense, I think, in Milwaukee to probably a worse offense in Miami. And he's kind of always been, I mean, I remember way back in the Tigers days, this guy was, called, Mini Miggy, just because, they looked a lot alike. The approach was kind of similar. And he always seems to disappoint a little bit statistically. But if you look back at his numbers, especially last year, they were a lot better than you would expect. So I think he's kind of disappointed for so long that now that he is actually putting up decent numbers, you just kind of forget about him to some extent. So it's probably pretty close to a wash, but I would say it's a small ding in value. But in most of your leagues, Avisail Garcia is probably not a guy you're relying on.
Mhm.
So, unless you're talking like a 30 team or something, he's probably not going to be, too coveted. But yeah, I mean, I would say slight decrease in value there.
Yeah, I would agree. He's a good secondary piece in a trade. Like if you're really
Sure.
if you're trying to like trade a star for a superstar, you do this like a star Garcia and then someone else. But I have him in my like quote unquote home league. It's 24 teams. He's my fourth outfielder, which is
Yeah.
about what he should be. But
Yeah,
he's
makes
a fourth
sense.
outfielder that can like get you at least 20, 25 home runs, hit almost 30 this year. So someone would probably want him. The Marlins is an interesting fit just because they seem to be trying to get better. Like they're willing to
Absolutely.
spend money.
Mhm.
So if they can continue to do that and put a lineup around them, it could be the start of something really good for the next 4 years.
Yeah, for a team that's kind of like young and upcoming, if you will, it is kind of a unique signing. So
Yeah.
it to me, it's more of just a veteran in the clubhouse that can produce, but that he's probably not going to be there in a high impact role for the entirety of the career. I mean, you're going to get guys like Blade, that should be coming up before too long that are going to kind of push him off to the side.
Yeah, like you said, Dave, I think we've just been kind of waiting for Avisail Garcia to do something, dating back to his Detroit days and then time with the White Sox and now with Milwaukee, now Miami. I think we're just waiting for that. I mean, right now we just saw him, of course, in a contract year, have his career highs in home runs and RBIs. And I think moving to Miami, I mean, I don't think you see much of an uptick in the counting stats. There's no one, I mean, other than Jazz Chisholm in front of him, there's not many people, and even behind him is protection. So I don't foresee this much of an uptick for him, even if anything, maybe a little bit of a decrease, because now they're almost asking him to be that primary RBI guy behind him and Aguilar, basically, unless they sign somebody else. But I don't think any Avisail Garcia is anything to be going out and grabbing right now as far as a big flashy name in Dynasty. But let's go ahead and get back into our favorites, the pitchers. This time we're going to be talking about the AL Cy Young winner, Robbie Ray. He actually gets a big contract from the Seattle Mariners. Goes there for 5 years, 115 mil, which is about 23 AAV mil a year. So what are your thoughts on him jumping ship after the AL Cy Young?
I'm going to say that, odds are it's not going to work out. I mean, Robbie Ray, I mean, we've seen him struggle so mightily, and then he all of a sudden kind of just put it all together this last season. And I tend to err on the side of caution when it comes to that kind of stuff, and would just assume that he's certainly not, well, I shouldn't say certainly, but he's almost certainly not going to be what he was last year. But he's probably not going to be as bad as he was previously with that walk rate. This is a case where I don't know that a change of scenery is a good thing. A lot of times, like the Jon Gray thing, I could chalk a change of scenery up as being a good thing. I'm going to say, a relatively decent sized downgrade, and it's not even because of his landing spot. It's just because I think that there's some pretty serious regression that is probably likely to happen. He's a guy that I wouldn't bet on.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. This is, this guy's never, can you ever count on this guy? He's always been this Mr. Inconsistent. Like, does he strike a ton of guys out? Yeah. Does he walk a ton of guys? Yeah. I mean, he's got a 30% K rate career and a 12% walk rate in his first career. It's almost 4 walks per 9 in his career. I mean, this is someone that like you said, just based off of his 2021 stats, there's going to be a huge regression, whatever team he's on. So can you go into 2022 thinking you're going to get 2021 Robbie Ray? I highly doubt that.
Yeah, I'm sure the K's will remain.
Right. He's always been a K hitter.
But you're going to see, the walk rate's going to creep back to some extent, you would imagine.
Yeah.
And when that happens, that obviously instantly raises, the whip. and that probably is it almost has to increase, the ERA as well. It's just a matter of to what level does he regress, because I don't think anyone would make any sort of wager, even if he went to San Francisco, that he could repeat what he did last year.
There's zero chance he can. This is going to go down. This is going to be bad.
Yeah, you could be right.
Not James Paxton bad. Not Patrick Corbin bad. But it's going to be bad.
I don't know. It could be worse than Patrick Corbin. I mean, theoretically. I mean, if Robbie Ray just puts up 4 years like his previous 4 years, it's a Patrick Corbin deal.
It's just he's had one good season, and like he's 30. If you have one good year by the time you're 30, you're probably not that good. And
the thing is, he's always had the stuff, as evidenced by his K numbers, and it was always a matter of, boy, if he could ever stop walking everybody, he would be great. And we finally saw 1 year of, hey, he finally stopped walking everybody, and this is what you get from him when that happens.
Yeah.
I just don't know that you can expect that to continue at all. So, we'll see. I mean, I'm not necessarily rooting against the guy, because just what the Mariners are doing and who they have coming up still, I've mentioned, a few times here and there, they're becoming one of my favorite teams. So, part of me hopes that, it works out, but we'll see.
Yeah, and they don't really have anybody else in that staff other to rely on either. I mean, they're basically counting on this guy to be their ace. We got a couple of young guys coming up, and that's it. Other than that, I mean, they're counting on Robbie Ray to come in and be their ace. And he never goes deep in games either. I mean, the amount of walks, strikeouts he gets, I think he's always out in the fifth if he's lucky to get to the sixth. So I mean, that's also going to hurt your whip and your ERA and stuff like that. So yeah, to me, for fantasy purposes, this is definitely a huge hit just off of the year that he had last year. So get rid of Robbie Ray on your team. Sell high right now. And then we're going to finish off here with the fan favorite, I think, not just of this podcast, but baseball itself, and that's Justin Verlander. He goes and stays with the Houston Astros. Gets 2 year, $50 million, $25 million AAV. I don't know. Should we let Dave kick this one off on what his thoughts are?
Go off, Ken.
Man, I was really hopeful that he was coming back to Detroit. It made perfect sense.
Yep.
Literally the day that, Detroit traded him, the thought process was, hey, you know what? By the time his contract is up, it probably would time up pretty nicely for the Tigers rebuild to be turning around. He comes back home, pitches for a year or two, and, off he goes, after he wins a ring. Well, that's exactly what happened. He went to Houston, was phenomenal, got a ring, got hurt. Tigers are at the point where they're not quite exactly probably ready to compete next year. They'll be competitive, but I don't know that they're going to be more than maybe a fringe potential playoff team. And so getting Verlander whenever they needed an arm made perfect sense. So I was really personally disappointed. With that being said, fantasy-wise or, dynasty-wise, I don't know that his value really changes because nothing has really changed. The only change is they don't have Carlos Correa at shortstop anymore. So, theoretically that makes the Astros a little bit worse. Their defense probably is slightly worse. Verlander being healthy is obviously better than Verlander not being healthy. So I think you just chalk this up to a big old not much changes. If I had him, I guess I would shop them a little bit just to see what you can get. Because, probably best case scenario, you get 2 or 3 years out of them. I wouldn't necessarily be looking to buy him unless somehow you can get him for super cheap. So I'd say not really much changes here.
Yeah, I think my biggest concern is just to see how he bounces back as a 39-year-old coming off of Tommy John. I don't know if we've ever seen a pitcher of his age get Tommy John and come back. So I don't know what to expect. I mean, obviously we're probably going to see a little bit of a decrease in velocity. I'm not sure if that's entirely true. I mean, I'm just so intrigued.
People oftentimes come back with a little bit more juice in the tank.
Right.
And obviously, not in this fashion, but
they're usually a little bit younger.
A guy of his age who has been a workhorse for his entire career, taking this time off and then repairing his arm actually could benefit him. Knowing Verlander a little bit like I do, I could actually see this giving him an extra couple years. So, I wouldn't be shocked if he pitched 3-4 more years, and that's directly attributed to the break that he had and the repairing of his arm that he had. You actually could see Verlander, I wouldn't necessarily say at his best, but you could see him at a very high level.
Maybe you'll give him his next contract.
I doubt it, but I think the ship has sailed here. He'll do his 2 years in Houston, and then if he's healthy, probably shop around for a 1-year deal somewhere, and he'll do that until the wheels fall off. That's kind of the bulldog he is.
Yeah, he's had 2 seasons in which he didn't pitch under 200 innings pitched, and one was his rookie season, and then the other was in 2015. So, talk about workhorse. I think that's why I'm so intrigued to see what happens in 2022. Being a Verlander fan, I'm rooting for him. I'm not an Astros fan. I wish, like Dave said, I wish he would have came back to Detroit. Would have rooted for him even harder. But
there was a point in time, and I don't remember the exact number, so I could be off here by quite a bit, but I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of he like set or was close to setting a major league record for consecutive starts where he went at least 5 innings. He went like a ridiculous number of starts where he never was less than 5. I'm pretty sure that happened in Detroit. I don't think that was in Houston. But that just goes to show that, just how consistent he has been. But, then he gets that injury, and then, who knows what will happen.
Yep. One final one, Nick. What's your thoughts on James Paxton to the Red Sox?
Oh, God.
I thought I'd throw him a bone. Pick your who is a better 2022, Rich Hill or James Paxton?
Michael Walker.
Oh, God.
No, Paxton was a good deal, though. What's the worst thing that can happen?
They get hurt again? Spot?
I like that more. Yeah, I like that more than the Walker one, because Walker got some actual money.
Yeah, but you didn't spend that money. There's no salary cap in baseball. Honestly, who gives a shit?
It really doesn't matter either way. They're all the same guy.
If you're planning on rolling out Walker and Paxton in your rotation, that right there tells you you're in trouble, because at least one of those two is going to fail. More likely, they're both going to fail.
Come on, Jay.
Odds are neither one of them are going to stay healthy. So it's almost like you signed nobody.
Yeah. So we got Sale, Evaldi.
I had to throw you a bone. We've talked a couple Cubs signings, a couple Tigers signings. I had to throw you a bone.
Hopefully, in a few weeks, we can talk about the Red Sox signing somebody actually good. But hey.
Evaldi scares me because he always has trouble being healthy.
Yeah. Sale?
Prior to getting injured, Sale was like Verlander-esque, but he's coming off an injury, so who knows what you're going to get from him. Obviously, you don't have Erod anymore.
They're not going to be as good.
Stroman's not coming to town. The Red Sox need some pitching bad.
Yeah. My friends got into the Red Sox towards the end of last year, and they're excited about next year. But I'm like, guys, they're not going to be as good. Last year was lucky, which is fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it was exciting because it was lucky. But they're going to come in and then be pissed when they suck. And I'm like, well, last year was kind of just right.
The expectations were low last year.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this question. So who gets more wins, assuming that we have a regular season, we don't miss any, we have a regular season. Who ends up with more wins? Cubs, Tigers, Red Sox?
Oh,
Red Sox.
I think Red Sox. I don't know. It's tough, man.
Think so. I would think Red Sox would be the obvious choice.
But I think the Cubs still have a lot of moves to make.
Well, possibly.
I don't think the Cubs are trying in 2020.
Right.
Here. So I think they're pretty safely the bet to have the least wins. The Tigers are kind of the wild card. When do you see Green? When do you see Torkelson?
Mhm.
How does Manning pitch? How does Skubal pitch? How does Mize pitch? There's a lot of variables there. The Red Sox variables are more how fluky was it last year? I mean, obviously they had to be somewhat good.
They got the offense.
And then how does that pitching work out? So, I mean, all three of those teams could be dumpster fires. And two of those teams at least could make the playoffs. It'll be interesting. All three of our teams are in interesting spots.
Yeah.
Interesting spots.
For sure.
It'll make for a fun 2022 On Deck Circle podcast.
Oh, God, I hope so.
All right, but other than that, I mean, that's all I got. What do you guys got? Anything else?
Well, the only thing I have is, Jason, with how weird my computer is being, you're going to have to end this bad boy. So I hope you don't expect me to do it. I need you to do it. If I click the button, I don't know what will happen.
All right, from now on that then. We'll catch you guys next week.